ไทม์ไลน์สุทธิชัยหยุ่นวันนี้การเลือกตั้งประธานาธิบดีอินโดนีเซียที่เพิ่งจบไปเป็นตัวอย่างของการเปลี่ยนผ่านจากเผด็จการทหารของประเทศที่มีประชากรถึง250ล้านคนใหญ่ที่สุดในอาเซียนมาสู่ระบอบประชาธิปไตยในช่วง15ปีที่ผ่านมาผลการเลือกตั้งครั้งนี้น่าตื่นตาตื่นใจมากครับเพราะว่าคะแนนเสียงของคู่แข่งสองคนนั้นสูสีคู่ขี้กันอย่างยิ่งจนกระทั่งล่าสุดที่กกต.อินโดนีเซียประกาศผลออกมาผู้ชนะคือคนนี้ครับโจโกวีวิโดโดอดีตผู้ว่ากรุงจาการ์ตาซึ่งได้ชื่อว่าเป็นนักการเมืองรุ่นใหม่ผิดไปจากนักการเมืองรุ่นเก่าผิดไปจากอดีตนายพลที่เป็นคู่แข่งคือปราโบโวซูเบียนโตคะแนนนี่สูสีคู่ขี้กัน 53% กับ 46% ห่างกันเพียง 6% เท่านั้นครับอนาคตการเมืองของอินโดนีเซียจึงมีความสำคัญเพราะว่าถ้าได้คนนี้มาเป็นผู้นำภาพลักษณ์ของประธานาธิบดีอินโดนีเซียก็จะเปลี่ยนไปจากประธานาธิบดียุทธโยโนปัจจุบันมาสู่ชาวบ้านธรรมดาที่กำลังจะบอกว่าอินโดนีเซียต้อง change ผมจึงได้ชวนท่านเอกอัครราชทูตอินโดนีเซียประจำประเทศไทยท่านลุตฟี่ราอูฟมานั่งช่วยผมวิเคราะห์เพราะว่าท่านจะรู้ลึกมานั่งบอกกล่าวกับคนไทยว่าการเปลี่ยนผ่านจากเผด็จการสู่ประชาธิปไตยของอินโดนีเซียนั้นเจอกับสิ่งท้าทายอะไรบ้างและต่อไปนี้คนอินโดนีเซียจะมีความหวงแหนรักความเป็นประชาธิปไตยด้วยเหตุผลอะไรเบื้องลึกของการหาเสียงของการเลือกตั้งครั้งนี้ก็น่าตื่นเต้นครับเพราะว่าอย่าลืมนะครับว่าอินโดนีเซียมีประชากร250ล้านคนเป็นเกาะ 17,000 เกาะมีชาติพันธุ์ถึง248กลุ่มมีภาษาท้องถิ่นถึง600ภาษาฉะนั้นเป็นประเทศที่มีความหลากหลายแตกต่างกันอย่างยิ่งสมัยก่อนเมื่อมีเผด็จการปกครองคนเดียวก็ดูเหมือนว่าจะมีเสถียรภาพแต่ว่าวิกฤตเศรษฐกิจที่ช่วงนั้นเกิดขึ้นที่ต้มยำกุ้งของไทยไปถึงอินโดนีเซียประธานาธิบดีซูฮาโตซึ่งกุมอำนาจเบ็ดเสร็จมา30กว่าปีถูกโค่นโดยประชาชนครับหลังจากนั้นเป็นต้นมาอินโดนีเซียก็เข้าสู่กระบวนการประชาธิปไตยมีการถ่วงดุลมีการสร้างความแข็งแกร่งให้กับประชาคมประชาชนมีเสรีภาพของสื่อสารมวลชนแต่ก็ยังมีคอร์รัปชันแต่ก็ยังมีการซื้อขายเสียงฉะนั้นวันนี้ครับท่านทูตอินโดนีเซียจะมานั่งวิเคราะห์กับผมว่าการเปลี่ยนผ่านจากระบบการปกครองคนเดียวมีอำนาจเบ็ดเสร็จมาจนถึงระบอบประชาธิปไตยในแบบอย่างของอินโดนีเซียนั้นจะต้องตั้งคำถามอะไรบ้างจะต้องทำอะไรบ้างและบุคลิกของคู่แข่งในการเลือกตั้งครั้งนี้น่าตื่นเต้นอย่างยิ่งครับคนหนึ่งเป็นอดีตนายพลที่ใกล้ชิดกับอดีตประธานาธิบดีซูฮาโตถึงขั้นเป็นลูกเขยทีเดียวเคยคุมหน่วยปฏิบัติการพิเศษที่ถูกกล่าวหาว่าไปเข็นฆ่าไปละเมิดสิทธิมนุษยชนของผู้เรียกร้องประชาธิปไตยอีกคนหนึ่งเป็นคนที่บริหารแบบชาวบ้านถึงลูกถึงคนเข้าไปสู่สลัมเข้าไปหาประชาชนและเปิดกว้างสำหรับการแสดงความคิดเห็นวันนี้กกต.ของอินโดนีเซียประกาศแล้วครับว่าเขาเป็นผู้มีชัยชนะแต่ว่าคู่แข่งอย่างปราโบโวก็ยังไม่ยอมครับก็คงจะขอให้ศาลรัฐธรรมนูญตัดสินว่าการนับคะแนนถูกต้องหรือไม่จะมีการนับใหม่จะมีการโหวตใหม่หรือไม่วันนี้จึงเป็นประเด็นที่น่าติดตามสำหรับคนไทยเป็นอย่างยิ่งครับ The two candidates for this election what are their big differences in the view of the Indonesian people the difference between Jokowi and Prabowo
at least from the public
yes
perspective there are two different perspectives depicting
yes
the two candidates.
Yes.
Prabowo happened to be as a kind of a strong man in the military.
Yes.
Happened to be the commanders of special forces.
Yes.
With a military background, is perceived as in terms of appearance.
Yes.
As a decisive, as a very strong leaders, and then very, how to call it, more confidence in dealing with
Sign of strong leadership.
strong leadership, that kind of things. But unfortunately, because of his background, he cannot avoid the negative image
Right.
that given to him by the public also.
Right.
As the figures that happen to be involved in the human rights abuses in the past, happen to be close to the center power during President Suharto, is for simple reason he's a son-in-law of the President Suharto.
Right.
These kind of factors that emotionally and psychologically influence the perspective of the people.
Yes.
On the other hand, the perspective of Jokowi, because Jokowi has no public appearance in the past other than
Governor of Jakarta.
Not only that, only starting to enter a kind of measures in Solo, a small town in Central Java.
Right.
Before that, he was only known as a very professional furniture businessman.
Furniture.
Furniture businessman, yes, and a successful one because he export a lot to Middle East and other part of the world. And then, the persons, the figures that speaking the language of the people. It's not using sophisticated way of communicating. It's very easily understood. Men of the grassroots, going down as a kind of hands-on type of leadership.
A simple man.
Simple man, very humble.
Humble, mixing with the people.
Mixing with the people, but with the clear objective of achieving what he's planning his governments to do.
As governor of Jakarta, he did achieve something.
Yes, in the short time of period, about 1.5 years, he made quite significant. I mean, especially if we put it in the context of the complexity of dealing with the city of Jakarta with 9 or with 12 million people's populations.
Yes.
With the flood, traffic congestion, and so on.
So what did he do that impressed people?
Because they deliver what he say.
Yes.
He came down directly to the ground.
Yes.
For instance, how they manage the street vendors. That they become a kind of one of the major problems in creating a kind of...
The pavement vendors, the hawkers.
Yes, the hawkers.
How did he solve the problem?
They came down, that they address the root causes, because they think the people come here because they want to make a living.
Yes.
And then they do it because there is no probably other alternatives in doing it.
Yes.
They find out the alternative for doing first. And after they have that one, and then they approach in a very, very closely manners, heart to heart, explain, and then the people accept that, and then...
So he talked to them.
He talked to them.
Did he move them out of the pavements?
Because they provided another
new location for
yes,
them?
New location. This is the... And then they do it. And then likewise with the public transportation. They start to have a kind of groundbreaking, for example, at least. After get started for many years, nothing happened.
Yes.
And the second one is...
But he didn't solve the traffic jam problem of Jakarta, though.
Of course, it's not easy.
It's not, right?
It's not easy.
But did he do something about it?
At least for the short term, they managed to have, they bring more public transportation. You see? I mean, in terms of the strategy, the programs, they're very clear. The challenge is, I think, how the bureaucrats, machinery, respond to, to his wishes.
So those are the positive sides.
Yes.
But what about his negative side? People who criticize him for being weak, for being
if you
inexperienced.
If people want to understand the culture of Indonesia, you can find a variety of attitude. Starting from the tough one because of the ethnicity. For instance, the people from North Sumatra and the people I came from in the East, if they're talking, they happen to be very high tone. But compared to the Javanese, they are very polite in expressing their why. So they're trying to be low profile.
Uh-huh.
This is the perspective you can have.
Yes. So a variety
of
attitudes.
Attitude and social.
But most of these people like Jokowi.
I mean, it has been confirmed through different democratic way.
Yes.
If the people didn't dislike him, nobody want to vote him.
Right.
I mean, even during his major two periods in Solo.
Yes.
Surakarta. The voting cast, he managed to get up to 90% of vote.
90%,
92% for two consecutive periods, 10 years. In Jakarta also. Now it's come back to the national level, over 50%. This is again, I think, confirming that he holds the confidence of the people.
But what are his weaknesses?
This is a perception of the public. Especially in the political opponents.
That's
of
right.
course.
That's right.
If you're talking about the political opponent, they explore the weaknesses.
What is he attacked for?
The weakness is lack of experience.
Yeah.
Because they just come back, rising up from the mayor in a small city in Solo and move to Jakarta. And in Jakarta, even he hasn't fully proven itself.
Yes.
And then move again to this is the weakness. And then another one, I think, as it is indecisive leaders, but many people say, look, if it is not a decisive one, many progress cannot move. You see, this is a kind of different perspective. It is depend on whoever you talk to.
Right.
But again, in general perspective, the whole perspective of his kind of characteristic, I mean, look at it's been reflected in the way the people see it, the way the people perceive him.
Yes.
Through ballot box.
That's right.
So this is the way we measure.
But I don't understand one point. In the beginning, in the campaign, he was leading in all the polls with a very wide margin.
Yes.
And suddenly, Prabowo was catching up and managed to become very close. What happened?
I think if you are entering the battlefield with a very strong intention to win, I mean, whichever side tries to explore any possibilities to convince the people, either through positive way or negative way. Many observers say, because I've been here, I'm just observing far away, but based on our readings that transpire in the media, in the commentators and so on and so forth, that one of the reasons also because the machinery of the opponents working very effectively, using all media available, including the allegation of employing black campaigns against Jokowi. There are so many allegations that label to Jokowi that happen to be unproven. For instance, he is non-Muslim. His parents originally Chinese or foreigners. The second one happened to be a communist, for instance. These kind of things.
In fact, one rumor that he was dead already or something.
But I haven't heard that he was dead. But this kind of issues that are still lingering in the heart of Indonesian peoples. Indonesia, I mean, nobody can dispute that. Indonesia, the majority of the population are Muslim. The second one, we happen to experience in one of our black histories dealing with communism at that time. So you see, so many peers, I say before, it's a bloody event. This kind of still lingering. And then a certain groups, try to bring in this issue to tarnish the image. This is probably one of them. The second one is also the opponents keep bring up the negative sides even during the time when he became a mayor, he became the governor by saying, look, I mean, he has been a governor 1.5 years, cannot prove himself. Even his running mate Yusukala happened to criticize him before. And then after that, their side also tried to convince the people that they have a good track record, they address the basic needs of the people, healthcare, education, housing.
Yes.
This is related to the real life of the people they're trying to bring up. That's why they manage to win and at least to maintain the support of the ordinary people. So this is kind of the different perspective way of seeing the political landscape, including the figures of the two candidates.
If finally Jokowi becomes president of Indonesia, how would he change the country?
I mean, we can see it during the campaign.
Yes.
We can see their platform. We can see their agenda. We see it at least from our perspective. From observation, I believe it will also share by many people that consistency is there. I mean, he make it clear that he want to improve the economy. He want to improve the well-being of the people by continuing the policies that have been proven working. For instance, a kind of social programs, education, human resources development. That's what they emphasize. Healthcare, and also small medium enterprises. And then also in terms of foreign relations, we anticipate, and I think we can guess that there's not going to be change because our foreign policy is based on our constitutions, active foreign policy.
No change in policy towards ASEAN?
I think there would be no change because ASEAN is our cornerstone of our foreign policy. There would be probably, but we don't know yet about the how to call it, the different strategy or different approach. But in terms of the essence and the substance, I think we will continue. So, if you ask him again how they can change the country, our hope and Indonesian hope, as long as they commit and consistent to the policy that has been mentioned during the campaigns, and we are confident that Indonesia will be moving forward, moving ahead. The challenges I think that he might face, like in the previous governments, this is one of the big challenges we have now. The first one is bureaucratic reforms.
Yes, which is very difficult.
Very difficult. And then after being, in that kind of environment more than 30 years under very centralized type of government, this is the challenge because no matter how sophisticated, no matter how excellent the policy, the programs, and the promise to the peoples, if it cannot be implemented in an effective way, manageable way by the bureaucratic machinery, I think it will not be effective. But he already started to implement it at least when he became a governor. They a kind of reforms the bureaucracy within the Jakarta institution based on meritocracy. In the past, based on not the principle what you know, but who you know. But for him, what you know. This is important one. Even they put the bidding to certain posts. Who has the capacity doing it, please raise up your hand and you can take it. This is what it is. And the second one, implemented also more transparent type of governance by implementing e-governments.
Yes.
These kind of things that we have a high hope in our bureaucratic reform.
People believe he's clean, not corrupt.
Of course, because he has no track record of that allegation. Even during the election, that many people try to to drag it into one case about the bus, mass transportation, because there is a corruption when we purchase a lot of bus for public transportation. But now in the hand of the judge. But so far there's no evidence, legal evidence that implicated him as involved. So in that sense, his track record still, so far is clean. So allegation here and there, of course, but when it comes to the proof, it's a different thing.
In what important way is he different from President Yudhoyono? Bambang Yudhoyono.
we still need to see because President Yudhoyono for the last 10 years of his administration has bring Indonesia quite successfully.
Yes.
Both domestically and regionally, internationally. Of course, President Yudhoyono have a lot of capacities also. If we want to compare with Jokowi, also still early not to compare. We need to see because just like compare between apple and orange.
You think he's a totally different person, Jokowi?
We cannot see a totally different. I mean, this is a kind of type of leadership.
At least the appearance, at least the style will be very different.
Of course. I mean, nobody can deny that.
The substance is different in a lot of ways, but I think the style, how he runs the country, Jokowi, will be quite different from Yudhoyono.
If we base on the way he runs,
Jakarta?
The government, Jakarta and Bogor, of course, would be.
You will see a totally different president.
Be different approach.
He'll be more accessible. He might go out on the streets and meet more ordinary people. You think?
This is based on that. Based on that facts. Yes, the past. We can say that.
Yes.
But we never know in the past. As I say, if he can maintain the way he runs.
Yes.
The governments before and continue, I think we might see the different style of leadership. It's just two different characters.
Totally different.
I cannot say totally different. But the most important thing for us, as the President Yudhoyono say, the progress the country has made under his administration, under his leadership, can be continued by the next government. And then I read in somewhere, Jokowi already expressed his commitment to continue the progress the country has made. So the point is that continuity. This is, I think, that something that everybody is expecting to have that one.
How much influence does Megawati Sukarnoputri has over Jokowi, since she's the party leader?
Yes.
I think she
of course, if
runs
you're talking about the influence, of course, I mean, Indonesian cultural politics is still a kind of, ranking political elite, still something like that, paternalistic way of seeing it. Of course, the influence is there. So being a chairman of and a charismatic leaders of Indonesian Democratic Party, of course, he has an influence, of course. But one of the important things that we need to see during the campaign, during the time when Jokowi is nominated by the party, is that Jokowi seems to be given more rooms to explore himself, including to bring the coalition parties. In the past, when the government about to set up, there's so many political parties involved. Aligning itself in different groups, become a coalition. When these parties, a small one, join together with Megawati's party, Jokowi make it clear that you joining this coalition, don't expecting a kind of trade horse trading that you will get here and there. This is make it clear. That's why I think if we're talking about influence, the influence is there. But it doesn't mean that he's in the full command to Jokowi. Jokowi has freedoms to to express himself. Jokowi has freedoms to say something, including during the time of campaign. One of the big campaign in the national stadiums, where they call it people concert. There's no single flag of parties of support. No. It means that he himself can manage this kind of a big crowd of people, men of the peoples.
Now I'm thinking of India. Where you have Sonia Gandhi running the party and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who apparently, to most Indian people or to outside observers, is very much under the influence of Sonia Gandhi. Would this be the same between Megawati?
This is many,
and Jokowi?
This is many allegations also during the campaign.
Really?
That is a kind of a puppet. But he make it clear, I mean very obvious, that he has a say.
Yes.
That's why he said, don't expect the parties want to join as a coalition, that a kind of signing something when you get into power, I want to get here and there. It didn't exist. So what does it mean? It is entirely under his hand, and later in defining the member of cabinets, for instance.
So you don't see the possibility of a coalition government because
this is already coalition.
Already, but because we were expecting a very big margin and that Jokowi could run the country with a very decisive majority. But now that the majority is so small, how do you think he will run the country?
This is another challenges that we need to see in the times ahead, because there's still maneuvering now among the political parties. When we settle down the final result, and then we will see how the political landscape. But for the time being, if we're talking about within the context of coalition, coalition of parties who support respective candidates, the parties who support Prabowo is much bigger. So, in the parliamentary perspective, of course, the whole majority that can affect the government way of running the country later on, passing the law, budgeting and so on and so forth. So, this is perspective. If it will not change, it will be remain in this situation. The coalition of the, so to speak, because we don't know the term of opposition in Indonesia.
Right.
So if it is maintained, the challenges that the Jokowi governments will face is through the parliament. But we don't know yet. They might be changing when the final result, when all the process, even probably the possibility of bringing the case to the Constitutional Court has been settled down. And then when the dust start to settle down, and the Jokowi start to put in place his government, it is possible some of these groups might
shift,
realign, readjust its positions. We never and then become supporter within the parliament. But this is still early to tell at the moment. We still need to wait for until 1 or 2 weeks to come.
Because one of the reasons given for President Yudhoyono's not so impressive performance was the fact that it was a coalition government. Now this situation might happen again under Jokowi.
But again, during the President Yudhoyono times, it's just a coalition, of course. But it is the leaders also who want to provide a lessons without really exercising his power in a very strong way. They still provide a chance, opportunity to those coalition to learn. This is a kind of investment of learning in how to become more mature. Politician or mature political parties in running the country. That's why many people say, the party of coalitions are kind of recalcitrant towards his policy against him in the parliament, but yet President Yudhoyono didn't fire them. They engage in a constructive way.
Constructive engagement.
If he want to exercise his full power, he can do it.
But he might run the risk of being toppled or being undermined by parliamentary conflicts.
It's not that simple, you see, because impeaching in the parliaments, and there is very strict condition according to the constitutions. That's why we're very sure under his leadership, we're very strong in that perspective. And then I think many people say that President Yudhoyono give in too much to his political coalitions. Compromising. But again, this is part of how to maintain the stability of the governments by providing opportunity for the partners, to learn. This is a learning process.
But Jokowi may have to face the same kind of
the possibility is there because the coalition. If you're talking about the coalition, there's a take and give. we will see. But I think if everybody, member of his coalition, stick to their promise, stick to their principle from the beginning, and I think, and then learning also from the lesson in the past, and then we have confidence he can run. I mean, he continue running Indonesia in the successful way.